There are currently 3 energy-based melee weapons in the game: the Energy Dagger, the Energy Sword, and the Dual Energy Sword. To get started immediately, the Energy Dagger is a 2 telecrystal purchase available to both nuclear operatives and syndicate agents under the Weapons tab. It is a small energy blade conveniently disguised in the form of a pen. When you purchase it, it will actually give you an E-Dagger box that has like this teal, green, cyan color. I'm not good with colors at the top. It is very explicit that it's an energy dagger, so you want to press Z to open it. Thankfully, it doesn't leave any form of wrapper behind, so there's nothing leading it back to you. If you shift click the pen, it just has the same description as a pen. If you right click it, ignore the debug. It is just labeled as a pen. There's nothing that indicates that it is anything other than a pen. You can even put it in your PDA slot, which is probably one of the best things you could do because it's not often checked. And even if it is checked, people will not always pick it out and press Z. Anyways, so it's really concealable. You can hide it in your PDA. To actually get the energy pen active, you put it in your hand and you press Z. And it's pretty loud. Anyone nearby is going to hear it. It does 9 slash a swing and 9 heat a sling, which is rather powerful. It swings once a second. Due to the dual typing of this damage, it often cauterizes its own damage, so the slash part is kind of nullified. You don't really make people bleed with it. It does, but only a minor amount. It doesn't do any bonus structure damage, so as you can see, it does 18 damage a second, meaning that you will crit an unarmored target in 6 swings or 6 seconds. However, the Energy Dagger is actually a defensive weapon. One thing that I just learned myself today before even filming this was that the Energy Dagger, just like the Energy Sword, has a 25% chance to reflect both kinetic projectiles and laser projectiles. So there you go. On the first shot, I reflected it. It's a 25% chance. So I'm not going to obviously keep shooting. It is just a 25% chance. So it actually can extend your life. Reminder, if you reflect the projectile, you take 0 damage. And for a 2 telecrystal purchase, 18 damage a second is pretty high end for melee weapons. It's very concealable, and it can, even in a bad fight, you can reflect disabler shots, you can reflect gunshots. You have 18 telecrystals, so there's no reason you can't buy a bomb, you can't buy a gun, you can't buy armor. The choice is definitely yours. Also, if you multi-tool a energy weapon, it will turn into a rainbow. Onto the big brother, the energy sword. It is 4 times more expensive. Very dangerous energy sword that can reflect shots, can be stored in pockets when turned off, makes a lot of noise when turned off or on. This can also be purchased by both syndicates and nuclear operatives. This can be stored in pocket slots. It can be put in your bag. It is a 2x1. As you can see, it's a 2x1 turned off. If you, also the energy pen, just while I'm here, if it's turned on, it's a 4x4. Turned off, it's also a 1x2. Anyways, the energy sword, while activated, does 15 slash, 15 heat, and 4 structural. It is much louder and much more obvious in your hand that it is a energy sword. The extra structural is pretty nice for trying to break things like walls. It's not the greatest wall breaking weapon in the game, obviously, but having 15 slash, 15 heat brings the DPS up to 30 a swing, or 30 a second. It also swings out once a second. And due to that, it is a 4 hit to crit time to kill on unarmored targets, which is 2 hits faster than the energy pen. So that is a pretty big increase, but I mean, it is 4 times more expensive. And obviously, the 4 extra damage you're seeing is because of the structural damage. This is technically a structure. To get through a wall, it's kind of confusing. It doesn't look like you're actually doing damage to the wall, but you are. It doesn't even indicate that you're like hitting it. It doesn't do the red flash, and it also does the audio as if you're not actually damaging the wall. But you can actually destroy unreinforced walls fairly quickly, and reinforced walls break about, it takes almost twice as long, not quite twice as long, but somewhere around there. So that is something to keep in mind. The energy sword has an identical reflect chance as the energy pen. So you're basically just spending 4 times the amount of telecrystals to almost double your time to kill. Not quite, but it does a ton of damage, and it can break walls, so that is where the cost comes into play here. the double-bladed energy sword, a much more expensive counterpart to the normal energy sword with a much higher reflection chance, larger attack angle, higher structural damage, and a faster swing. You can also, again, put this one in your pocket. It is a 1x2 again without being turned on, but when you deploy it, it is very loud. You also can't even put it on the ground while turned on, so if you ever get disarmed, it is slightly less lethal against you because the person who picks it up will have to turn it on. The double-bladed energy sword also, A, it has a cool sprite. B, it does 17 slash, 17 heat, and 20 structural. On top of the extra damage, it actually features a higher DPS. So with 17 slash, 17 heat, it actually is a 3-hit to crit time to kill on an unarmored target, and it swings 1.5 times a second. Also, as you can see with the wide swing, it is actually a good bit wider. Like, I'm swinging way down to the right, and it's still hitting the target in front of me, so you've got to be careful if you have any friends while you're swinging this. But considering this is only available to Syndicate agents, there's a pretty decent chance you're going to be swinging it at all enemies, and most likely not going to have an enemy or a friend with you. Sorry, Alexander. But the increased attack speed and increased damage means you could crit people very, very quickly. And it absolutely demolishes walls. These walls are full health. Again, it doesn't play the sound as if you're damaging the walls, but with the increased attack speed and the structural damage, you can just tear through walls like a fire axe while still having a much more offensive weapon than the fire axe due to the increased attack speed and better damage types. Also, the dual-bladed energy sword's reflection chance is incredibly high. It is 75% chance to reflect both kinetic and energy projectiles, meaning that it is a really, really good defensive option for range attacks. Just to symbolize how powerful the reflect chance on the double-bladed energy sword is, I have a bulldog, which is a shotgun. I will crit before he does due to the reflect chance. And yeah. Even with a lot of the projectiles reflecting the wrong direction and a shotgun, if you point blank somebody with a dual-bladed energy sword, you are most likely going to kill yourself before you kill them with a projectile. Here's the thing, though. Somebody with this sword means they automatically spent 20 telecrystals. Either they got really lucky and got it in a surplus, they worked with another syndicate, which is not all that common, or they just blew all 20 telecrystals that they have on that sword, meaning that they are either going to be susceptible to slips, not have flash resistance, not have armor, a mix of all three, or maybe they're really, really nifty and they are a janitor who's already got armor from security and they stole sunglasses from a musician or they have a welding mask. Then it gets tricky trying to stop them. Stun batons are 3 hits to stun, but the problem with that is you have to hit them 3 times, which means in a 1v1, they also only have to hit you probably 3 or 4 times to kill you. The D-Sword swings a lot faster than a stun baton, so trying to even melee a D-Sword on your own is very, very dangerous. So you really need to look for whatever weakness they may have. Slips or flashes are going to be your best bet at fighting this. Shooting them with a ranged weapon is borderline suicide. You might be able to get enough shots off to at least wound them or slow them, but realistically, I don't think you're really meant to be able to win a 1v1 against a D-Sword user very easily. 2 security officers with stun batons can absolutely overwhelm a D-Sword, no issue. Again, because they won't be able to afford additional equipment, and unless they were a very prepared syndicate or trader that has escape plans or has other weapons to deal with a 1v2, 1v3 situation, whatever the situation may be. Obviously, these are all hypotheticals. I should probably not go into insane amount of hypotheticals. Anyways, it is a very expensive purchase. It might even be overpriced. I think blowing all 20 telecrystals on it is quite a lot. But yet again, the Bulldog is also the equivalent of that, so maybe the gun should also be slightly cheaper with the D-Sword. I have not seen somebody purchase a D-Sword since it got removed from Nukies. I've seen people get lucky and get them, but I've never seen that somebody just directly purchase it. It's a very all-in weapon. Once you pull it out, everyone knows that you have it. It's even less stealthy than something like a bulldog because people hear a shotgun and they don't immediately assume, oh wow, it's a bulldog. But everyone hears any of the energy sword sounds and instantly goes, oh, that's a traitor. So there's a zero stealth element to using these weapons, and that's pretty much it. and thank you for watching.